Welcome to UrbanHood, your learning platform. Urban Food Alliance is a 501c nonprofit which reaches out to the needy and the homeless who need warm, fresh cooked, nutritional meals. Urban Food Alliance services the needy in our neighborhoods. Urban Food Alliance works in conjunction with UrbanHood and Speak EQ. UrbanHood is a free learning platform to promote personal development and financial awareness. We simply ask our visitors and members to make a donation to Urban Food Alliance if they are gaining from the knowledge provided. Speak EQ offers classes at low cost and donates the profits from those classes to Urban Food Alliance. Our mission is educating families to build and preserve capital. Our vision is that all families deserve happiness and financial freedom.
Lines of people formed outside of this New Jersey restaurant today. Khan Baba of Franklin Park offers free meals to families every Friday during lunchtime. The response from the community has been overwhelming.
I think it's great because there's a lot of people that are not working and we're all suffering. You know, we have kids, grandkids.
It's very simple. You walk up, they ask for your name, address, and phone number. They asked me how many children I had, and they gave us some little goodies, some snacks for the kids.
Today I'm seeing an enormous amount of people that need help, and it's really it's sad. But we are very happy to help in any way that we can.
The Urban Food Alliance to reduce starvation in local neighborhoods.
And what I see, the Spanish community, they don't get nothing. So I was thinking to help them out because mostly they work in the restaurant business and they lost their job.
In the state of New Jersey, 1 out of 7 people sleep hungry. That's when I said, look, you know, if you look around, your neighbors can go hungry.
Once again, guys, if you want to read this over, quick little disclaimer. Most of you guys should know the drill by now. So a few things I want to take a look at if we take a look at CNBC.com. Dow futures are up about 222 points, which is pretty good. We're also seeing some news come in, right? We heard that Oracle is, I think, going to become the buyer of TikTok. I think Microsoft's offer was rejected, right? So those are a few tickers that are definitely on today's radar. And other than that, right, we see Nvidia is to buy ARM Holdings from SoftBank for $40 billion, right? That can be a possible catalyst for Nvidia. Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine could be given to Americans before the end of the year. All right, so you guys see there's a different stimulus that are definitely coming in right now. Simply, you know, the Dow futures, SPY futures, NASDAQ futures, oil is also up a bit. So, you know, we're slightly green, but once again, a lot can change overnight. So we're simply going to get prepared for the different price action that is to come tomorrow morning when the market opens, right? So I'm going to, first things first, take a look at ES, right? If you take a look at ES, the E-mini futures, the SPY futures, it's kind of formed a nice little double top right here, as you can see, right? We have one support here, one support here. Market is, the mini futures are currently green, right? So if we do get a continuation, if we can get a break above 336.7, we might see it test 3,400, a break above 3,400. We might see a nice little uptrend once again. A lot can change overnight, but this is where my technical analysis is right now, right? To play it to the downside, as you can see, my key levels are right there. 3297 is a key level. If it breaks below there, we're looking to play it to the downside. If not, I do see it form a nice little double bottom here. We might see it potentially retrace. That's as far as that goes, right? SPY, very similar, right? Once again, support right here around 330. Nice little double bottom forming on the 1 hour chart. If we can get a break above it, you guys have my key levels. As of right now, not really looking to trade that as much. Taking a look at the VIX, right, the volatility index, we're seeing that it has dropped 10% on Friday, right, which is a good thing, right? We're seeing investors got a little bit more comfortable, right? We did see a nice little spike from 25 to a high of $40, but now we're kind of seeing a nice little retracement, right, to the downside. All right, keep in mind, guys, once the VIX goes down, SPY goes up, and if the VIX goes up, SPY goes down, right? That's just something you guys should know. Another thing I want to take a look at is the NASDAQ futures, right? The NASDAQ has been in this nice constant uptrend right here. If you guys take a look, right? Nice little trend channel right here. We did get a break above it. So we got a pop, then we kind of saw some overextension. We did see a pullback. Now, if we take a look at the 4-hour chart, we're kind of in this downtrend channel. Once again, just another double top that's forming. If we take a look here, support right here at around 1100, roughly not necessarily 1100, but 10,934 to be exact. Some support there. It's currently green. We're getting a nice push there on the Nasdaq futures, up about 1.1%. Currently in this downtrend channel. If we do get a break above 1135.1, I think we might be back in this channel, right? That's something that I'm looking to trade, the triple Qs and whatnot. But as you can see, if we can get this follow back over here, back in this trend, that might be something that we can see. If not, just keep in mind, if we get a break below this 10,934 level, it can be a little bit bearish, and we might see it even get filled right here, right? We might see a rush to the downside right here. I keep getting, let me try to turn this sound off, guys. Bear with me. I'm not too sure who that is. Sorry about that. Share screen. Right. So that's as far as the Nasdaq goes, right? We're kind of in this downtrend channel. As you can see, these are my key levels that I'm going to play accordingly. Strong support right here. The Nasdaq futures, right? The last time we saw its support was back in here in April, beginning of May, where it bounced off of it, right? This might be a correction that we can see, right? Once again, we're simply preparing for what's to come in the market. That's something that we might see this upcoming week if we continue to see some downside. That's that as far as the Nasdaq futures. Take a look at Amazon. Amazon, once again, if it follows the Nasdaq's trend, we might see it also find support around this 2,800 level. But once again, we did see an H pattern form. I think it was also a double bottom, right? So the current market conditions are currently forming a double bottom, right? I mean, if I were to draw on this is kind of what we're seeing, right? I want to see how the market opens up tomorrow, right? We currently are green on the futures. So if we can see a nice little reversal here, if we can get a break above 3245, I think we might see a retest this area and then see some more highs, right? Once again, we simply are speculating here where the potential price can be hit, potential price can be headed. But in case it doesn't go to the upside, it goes to the downside. For those of you that like to day trade, swing trade, or simply like to carry out a trade here and there, these are some key levels you can use. Whether you're scalping or day trading or swing trading. But on the daily time frame, right, what we're seeing is the last time, once again, the support was used was beginning of April. We saw Amazon popped off of 1,800 roughly, and then it kind of rallied up here, and then we saw some upside, right? Other than that, currently strong support around that 3,080 level. If we continue to get a break below that, I see it potentially filling this 2,887 area right here and then bouncing off, right? That's something that can happen with Amazon. Netflix, right? Netflix is very interesting, has support around 468.67. If I were to play it to the downside, I want to see a break below 468, that 470 level. Maybe we can play some puts to the downside. 520 seems to be some strong resistance. If we can see it break above 520, I would like to see it play to the upside, maybe play it to 560. That might be a potential target for it. And the main reason why, because if you take a look at the daily chart, we're seeing the 100-day moving average is right around that 468 level, which is the previous level of support. So we might see it potentially bounce. But in any case scenario, if we do get a break below this, there might be some area where so we might see some support level right here around 468.67 for Netflix. Break below that, looking to play some puts. That's pretty much all I have of this upcoming week. These are some key levels that I'm looking at. Oracle, I'm not really doing technical analysis on the stock, right? I mean, it's simply going to be news driven. They're simply either going to be, through the roof tomorrow. We might see a sell-off, right? I mean, it's kind of impossible to kind of predict where it's headed. But I mean, if we can see it break above $62, I mean, that might see it have some more potential highs. I wouldn't be too surprised if this does gap up tomorrow, assuming that they did have some sort of talks with buying TikTok. So if it gaps up tomorrow, we might see some profit taking and then a continuation. That's one scenario. it might be a good time to buy the first dip in the morning. Once again, this is extremely risky. Other than that, what else am I? That's pretty much it, right? I mean, as far as Oracle goes, we simply want to see how it plays out tomorrow. I'm assuming it's going to be spiking, right, with the news of TikTok. That's one thing, right? Like I said, it's going to gap. It's going to dip. If you can look to buy that first dip and then play the continuation to the upside, that's one thing. Another scenario is that it comes, fills the gap, and then continues, right? Which I don't think is going to happen, but that's just my personal bias. We're simply preparing for all market scenarios, right? Or it gaps up and it just continues to fly through the roof, right? That's definitely something that can happen. So that's that as far as Oracle goes, right? I think might have too much open. Bear with me, guys. Just rebooting my TOS. In the meantime, guys, definitely write some, what's it called, some tickers in the chat box. But just please, for reference, guys, only write it if you guys do give me some sort of reference. That makes it easier for me to cater to you guys exactly what you guys are looking for me to do on it, right? I mean, if it has earnings, if it has some sort of catalyst coming up, let me know, please. Okay, I'm going to start sharing again. So I'm going to close a few things. I think my computer, sorry about that. And we should be back to go. All right. Apple, right? Apple's another ticker that we're starting to take a look at, right? This is this constant trend line that's been following support, kind of pierced through this level here, support here, support here. If it bounces from here, we might see it potentially bounce if it follows that trend line. If any event it does break below it, 107 is a key area where I see it potentially breaking. And then I think it's going to potentially fill this gap at $96. That also might be a good buying opportunity for Apple long term. But once again, this is one of those stocks I think that I'm comfortable holding long term. I bought some around 130. I'm something called dollar cost averaging, right? DCA. You buy a little bit at every dip. You buy a little bit at every spike, right? You're never going to have a perfect exit. You're never going to have a perfect entry. But the best thing you can do is spend enough time in the market where you have a decent average price, right? But that's pretty much it as far as Apple goes. Last week, I think we got crushed on those Apple calls. Did not move as anticipated. 107, once again, is a strong level of support. If we do get a break below that, might like to play down to the 96 level for Apple, okay? Next, what we're going to take a look at is Microsoft, right? So Microsoft, we might see it open a little bit red, right? That's just a potential scenario, right? Because they were not able to get the deal with TikTok. Which is very interesting, right? Because it's a very strong key level right now, which is that 100-day moving average, right? It's currently around that $200 mark roughly, right? $200 seems to be a very strong support. We might see it pierce below it, and we might see it play down to this 191, 184 area, right? If we're looking to play it anywhere there. Was some strong support right here around 177, but once again, anything can change in a matter of hours, right? So this is just a scenario that can happen. If you're looking to play Microsoft to the downside, whether it's scalp or day trade, below 198, room to 193, below 193, room to 191. My key area would be 184. I think 184 is a very, very strong level of support for Microsoft. But if in any case scenario, it does not fall as aggressively as we think, and it kind of holds this level, I want to see it hold that $200 level mainly, right? Because similar to many of these other big techs, we're kind of seeing, once again, that double bottom form kind of being supported right there. If we do get a reversal right here, and if we can get a turnaround above 211, I'd like to play Microsoft to the upside once again. That's as far as Microsoft goes. Tesla, very interesting right now because it has a battery day upcoming event, right? Once again, Tesla is very volatile. If you guys are not familiar with the risk that Tesla brings, I recommend do not trade it. Make yourself familiar with what kind of risk comes along with trading Tesla, right? You can either make it or break it. You need to have proper risk management in order to trade something like Tesla, right? Mainly, right, I mean, what we're seeing is that 278, 280 is a strong level of support. If it dips around 280, I think that'll be a good time to buy. Stock is currently sitting around 372 right now. I mean, it looks, once again, supported right here, got a nice spike to 502, and now we're kind of just, price is kind of just sitting there, right? If I try to look on the 4-hour chart, what we're seeing is a nice little triangle pattern form under a 100-day moving average, right? Which is very nice, because what this usually kind of sets up for sometimes is a nice pop to the upside, right? If we do see it break out of this triangle and we get a pop above 388, that might see it make some retest of the recent highs, right? So my first target would be, if we get a breakout out of this triangle, would be that 462 level. A break above 462, I think we might have room to 463, and then potentially to retest the highs of 540, right? Once again, guys, this stock is extremely volatile. If you cannot trade it with options, maybe try trading it with shares. If not, maybe try to paper trade it, see if you're comfortable with that kind of risk that it brings along. I know they do have some sort of event coming up soon, the battery day event. So I'm currently holding some stock of Tesla, right? Tesla has been one of my favorite stocks. But like I said, that's something that we're looking out for. If in any case scenario it does move to the downside, it's potentially going to fill this area right here, right? This 280, it's going to use it as support. Last time it bounced off of 280, we did see it make some nice rallies, right? Another thing, guys, if you guys take a look, what I mean by the triangle that formed, right? This was another triangle that formed under the moving average. Once we got a nice pop, we saw a very, very nice rally to the upside, right? And if we take a look on the 4-hour chart, that's kind of what we're seeing being set up here. If we can get a nice pop, strong volume, good catalyst, a lot of options activity, we might see it break to the upside, right? That's as far as Tesla goes. If we take a look at the triple Qs, once again, they're also forming a double bottom if I switch over to the 1 hour, but you guys have seen it enough. But 266, 267 level of support right now. A break below that, I might look to play to around that 255, which is that moving average, the 100-day moving average. But once again, I want to see how the market opens, right? We might open up slightly green as of right now, but once again, as you can see, support right here, nice little double bottom that has formed. If we can get a break above 280, we'll look to play to 288. Above 288, might like to play some more calls to the upside, right? But as you guys see here on the daily chart, I mean, we're still kind of bullish if you take a look at it, right? I mean, we're still sitting nicely above the 100-day moving average. But if in any case scenario this downtrend does occur, this correction does continue, below 266, I think we might have room to 255, and that might be another good buying opportunity for QQQ, in my opinion. Another few tickers, right? I mean, I want to take a look at a few banks. Banks have been fairly choppy in the past few days, past few weeks, right? I mean, we haven't really seen much activity. If in any case scenario the tech does not make significant moves, we might see the focus come from tech all the way over to the banks. We might see some moves happen here, and the reason why is because we've been seeing some nice consolidation. Below 197, we might like to play some puts on the banks, on specifically Goldman Sachs. We're taking a look at it. Above 215.55, might look to play to the upside, maybe even the 224, and then a potential retest of the highs, obviously, right? But I mean, it's sitting pretty nicely at that level of support right now. I mean, it's slightly below it, but it's being supported right there. We did see a switch from sellers to weak buyers, right? So we saw strong sellers to weak buyers in control of the price on Friday, right? So 197 once again is a strong level of support. A reversal here, we might see it retest 215 potentially, but as of right now, that's as far as I have for Goldman Sachs. Bank of America, right? I mean, very similar, right? I mean, it's been very choppy, right? It's also, you know, it's up, it's down. It's not really making any clear direction. It's kind of going sideways at this point. But once again, it is also supported at that 100-day moving average. So we might see it potentially reverse and break above 26. Might look to play to the upside. I'm sorry, 26.50 might look to play to the upside. A break below 24.9, we might look to play to the downside just because it is at a very crucial level of support, which is the 100-day moving average, okay? Next, take a look at JP Morgan. JP Morgan, once again, very similar. All the banks have similar price action. They're all being fairly choppy. Nothing very significant going on. Below 99.2, I'd look to play JP Morgan to the downside. A break above 105, we might look to play it to the upside. Other than that, it's similar once again to the other bank stocks. We're kind of seeing it sit at that 100-day moving average, which is also 99.2 as the support. That's as far as JPM goes, right? One thing that I'm looking for this week is if the focus of investors goes over from tech and comes over to the banks, right? We might see that potentially. But next, if we take a look at Delta Airlines, right? I mean, focusing on the airlines, right? Resistance at 32.5. If we can get a break above 32.5, we might see our test 37.32. I think a lot of people made a lot of good money. For those of you that have been with us, I think maybe about a month and a half ago, I can't remember exactly, maybe in the beginning of the summer, I think a lot of people made a lot of money on Delta, right? I think some people made 1,000% return, right? Which you don't get every day, and that's not what we want to pitch here. But the goal is to show up every day and potentially catch an opportunity like that, and be prepared for it. But in any case scenario, what we're seeing is we did get a break above the 100-day moving average. We got a retest. We saw some resistance around 32.5. So as of right now, we're looking pretty good, right? I think I'd like to play this to the upside to 37.32. And then if it breaks above that, we might even play it to 41.71. But if any case scenario, it does break to the downside, we do have support around $30. A break below 30 might look to play to $26 or around that $27, $26 range for Delta Airlines. Not Bank of America, Boeing, right? Boeing has very interesting price action as well. It's also kind of sitting right below that 100-day moving average. Nothing significant. It kind of almost looks like a double top that is formed as well, right? Similar to the tech, right? We're kind of seeing a double here. We're getting support around 153. You got a break to the upside. And now we're kind of getting a support around that 153, 155 area. So that's an area that we can potentially see it either reverse from or continue to the downside, right? If it breaks below 153, that has been a very strong level of support. Once again, if it breaks below 153.71, that 155 level, maybe we can play puts to the downside. But if it does break to the upside, break above 167, room to 174, above 174, room to 184, and then as you see here, 185 and so on, right? But that's pretty much all I have for banks. Let's take a look at a few metals. Trend, as far as technical analysis goes, right, we're kind of seeing gold follow this nice little trend line, support, 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 and then there's also a trend line here to the downside, right? We did get a breakout of this trend line here to the downside, and now it's kind of being respected. Let me extend this to the right. As you see here, right? So 180, 179, strong level of support for gold. Break below that, might have room to 172.63, which is also that moving average. Once again, a lot of these stocks, as you can see here, have support at the 100-day moving average on the daily chart. And if we continue to see this correction happen in the market, we might kind of see gold value also drop a little bit more potentially. And if it does move to the downside, this is the area I'm looking to play. But if in any case scenario, if it does break above 184.71, I want to see it potentially get back in this red trend line right here, right? The run that's going right across. Maybe it can start following that trend again. All right, because it was supported here, we got a dip below it. You got supported here, nice push to the upside. You got rejection. So if we can get another retest and if we can see it potentially follow this trend line again, that is also something that I'm going to be on watch for. Silver, we take a look with silver, right? I mean, it's been fairly choppy. We did get a nice push, obviously, as you can see here. 24.35, break below that, maybe play puts to 23. Strong support is around $23. If we get a break below that, I think I'm definitely going to play puts. In terms of playing it to the upside, 27.36 is the ultimate resistance. A break above that, once again, would love to play calls to the upside. Other than that, just being very choppy right now, so I want to see how this price action sort of plays out. Above 25.74, room to 27.36, right? Gold we touched on already. ES we touched on. Let's see anything else. Yeah, other than that, right? I mean, as you can see here, 179 is a very strong level of support. Maybe if we can get a curl around and a break, and we might see it form a nice strong level of support. Let me fix this. Now let me switch over to the chat box. I think I went over majority of the tickers today. Let me scroll over to the top, see what you guys are saying. Okay, Snow, new IPO, right? Once again, I mean, I'll take a look at the chart, but once again, when a stock does IPO and it's new on the market, it's hard to do technical analysis just because it's so fresh. We kind of want to let it develop and have some sort of price action develop. Microsoft we touched, Apple we touched, Oracle we touched, Costco. What's going on? UST. Okay, we take a look at Costco, right? I mean, Costco, I want to see what's the simple moving average support it has right now. Right, I mean, ultimately, we're seeing strong support around 332, 34. If I switch over to the daily chart, that might also be a strong level. Yeah. So this right here is a strong level of support. If we do get a break below it, I wouldn't be too surprised if it starts hitting 324. Once again, guys, when you guys do give me a ticker, try to tell me exactly which one I'm going to take a look at, right? But we're getting a break below the 20-day moving average. It's currently being supported at the 50. Break below that, we might see it potentially see some downside. But this was a strong level of resistance, aka which is now going to be an extremely strong level of support, right? It's kind of like an inverse, right? That's that as far as Costco goes. Oracle we touched on. Let's take a look at Docu. I don't think Snow's chart was pulling up for some reason. But in any case, once again, when it's a new IPO, you want to let the price action develop. You want to see the price sort of play out, let it form its key levels, see where the buyers are, see where the aggressive sellers are, and then we can make a determination of where we might see a good buy or a good sell, a good entry point, good exit point potentially, right? Docu, huge spike to 290, and as you can see, following, we just saw a dip, right? That might just be some profit taking, or I don't know exactly why it's dipping, but as you can see, this is why I always tell people, any stock that it moves up parabolically can come parabolically back down to the downside, right? Strong support, as you can see here, is the 100-day moving average. If this tech sector continues to fall this upcoming week, similar to what I was saying earlier, the 100-day moving average is support, right? The 181, 177 level is going to be a potential support for Docu. That might be a good entry to buy a little bit for something like Docu. NET, Cloudflare. Once again, we've got a break below the resistance last week around 35.7. Price is currently being held at the 100-day moving average. It did dip below it, but we did see a lot of buying come in, and we did finally see a green candlestick close on Friday, right? With strong volume, surprisingly, right? I mean, when we went from around 4 million shares to the next day a little over 6.5, close to 7 million shares that are being traded. So it's currently at a strong level of support. 33.2 is a strong level of support. I'm not too sure exactly what this company, the financials or what kind of event is coming up. Once again, if you want me to take a look, just specify. Yeah, Mark, I do have a virtual image. Let's see, FSLY. We do have support around 73.8. Once again, very similar to a lot of these other stocks, the 100-day is looking like a key moving average as support. If we do get a break below that, we might see some moves to the downside, right? 69.32, we might see some continuation if we get a break below that. Other than that, like I said, 73.8 is support. Break below that, room to that, maybe play puts to 68.4. Just kind of seeing a nice little H pattern form, right? If you guys take a look here. Right, as you guys see here, H, right? We're kind of seeing a strong volume on the drop. Got a nice little hop there. Not very much volume, right? I mean, this is being supported right now, but if we get a break below 73.8, I'd like to play to the puts to the downside. That's something that we can take a look. DKNG. I don't think I've done technical analysis on this, but as far as the moving averages go, what are we seeing? I mean, it doesn't really have any clear direction. It's kind of following this trend, right? I mean, we kind of see large green candlesticks, and then it follows 3 or 4 days with red candlesticks, get a nice little spike, and then once again, we're kind of seeing this trend here. So we might see another pullback for the next few days if it continues to follow this little trend we're seeing. Other than that, if it can retest 44.67, that might be an area for a breakout to the upside. I want to see where it's been before, right? I mean, this stock is also fairly new, right? It's been on the market for a few days, a few weeks, but once again, resistance at 44, mainly that $45 level. A break above that, we might see it have some nice upside. This specific candlestick right here, this one with the long wick on the bottom, that day we saw 50 million in shares that were traded. So I'm assuming we might have seen it dip to 37. We had some aggressive buyers push it up to around $40. That's something that could have happened. I'm assuming a lot of people kept buying the dips here, right? I mean, at each dip, we saw a nice spike in volume. Kind of dead volume right here, right? I mean, not necessarily dead, but not as much volume as it usually has on the red candle right here. But if we can get a break above 44.67 and break above 45, we might see it potentially have some upside. But once again, very similar to a lot of those other stocks. It's fairly new on the market. Want to see how the price action develops. FORG, let's see. Frog, not familiar with this stock. Okay, not loading.
Yeah,
Sunburst.
this one will actually be released or debut this week, JFrog, so there is no ticker for that right now, it seems.
Okay. Yeah, I don't even think for SUMO either for some reason. Maybe my internet speed is up really fast.
Same with JFrog. These two are, I think, supposed to come this week.
Okay. I'm going to skip FORG and SUMO for now. Moving on. Yeah, it has to do something with the ticker. I don't know why the price action is not loading. IMUU, someone said IMUU bought by 20 billion, bought for 20 billion, I'm assuming by Gilead, around $80 per share. That's obviously a great catalyst for the stock. We might see it rally to the upside. So that just might be an area where we might see this gap up tomorrow. Once again, when stocks do gap up, there are a few scenarios that can happen, which I illustrated earlier. But in any case scenario, let's say it doesn't, a break above 45, you might like to play to the upside. I want to see in the past if this stock has ever seen a nice little price hike right here, right? So, I mean, in the past, anytime the stock has gapped up, it's actually continued the rally, right? I mean, it doesn't really pull back as much. But as you can see, it gapped up, continued, gapped up, continued, gapped up, continued, right? And now, if we do get another gap up tomorrow, it might also follow that trend and continue to gap up and continue to run throughout the day and maybe go higher into the market close and potentially some price action there. That's something that we have to wait on the catalyst. We want to see how it plays out. What is this stock? Stock, not too sure what this is. What else are we looking at? Currently at 40. PTON, in spite, if beat, it fell, but I feel like it will bounce back. Your take. In spite, if beat. Maybe if you can clarify a little in the comments what you mean by that, I'll definitely respond to that a little bit better. But looks like they reported the 27 in earnings. Let's see. Earnings was 10 cents, was the estimated. Actual was 27. So they beat expectations. Despite that, I think I understand what you're saying now. Despite that, the stock is pushing to the downside. It still has room to come down to 78 and use it as support. But break below 78, $73 is another strong level of support for Peloton. I think they reported great numbers, but there must have been something in the conference call, something with something other than earnings that was discussed that potentially caused this drop in the market, right? Or simply it was just some profit taking that happened, right? Because the stock, I mean, if you just take a look, right, from lows of March, stock was at $17 to a high of 98. I mean, the stock has gone up a little over 450%. So just understand that this little pullback, as aggressive as it is, we might just be seeing some simple profit taking happening. But once again, this does have some room to the downside. I mean, it's made significant gains to the upside.
There was a jump after the earnings came out in the extended trading in the morning. It was like about 11% jump up, and then there was a sell-off after that.
Yeah. I mean, even in the pre-market, right? I mean, I do see that the stock gapped up, but there wasn't really much volume. This simply illustrates a lot of profit taking. I think because the market was also red, right? I mean, we did see a lot of aggressive, because that's a trend we've been seeing, right? Futures open a little bit green, and then as soon as the market opens at 9:30, we get that strong dip to the downside. We see some selling happen, and then all of a sudden we get a nice push to the upside throughout the day. But overall, what we saw was 9:30. As soon as the market hits, we get a strong red candlestick, as you can see here. And for that reason, I think a lot of investors might have took some profit or something of that nature, right? I mean, who knows? But that's as far as the price action goes for Peloton, right? I mean, support right here around 78. A break below that, we might see it hit 73. But mainly, if we take a look at the 100-day moving average, I mean, this stock seems to be a little bit overextended. If you're looking to buy it, maybe wait for it to dip a little bit lower at the moving averages. Average your cost around the 20-day, 50-day, and then 100-day moving average, and see how the price action sort of plays out. But once again, the stock was up 453% from lows of $17, right? Which is obviously not a small number, but it dropped only 5% on the previous market day. We might see this potential trend continue. It's been using this 20-day moving average as support, 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 support. I mean, I can go on, but I think it might retest 78, and then we might see it continue potentially, just because it hasn't really broke below that 20-day moving average on the daily chart. If in any case scenario it does, that might be some time that we can play puts on Peloton, right? Just because it hasn't done it before. And in this case, if it does, we might see a lot of selling happen. Should we buy in pre-market? And then is it fair to say IMU will go from 40 to 80 based on purchase news and valuation? Should we buy in pre-market? I'm not too sure. I don't really trade. I mean, that's extremely speculative, right? If they bought it at $80 a share, I mean, I need a little bit more information to make that decision, right? But once again, we never really tell you exactly when to buy, when to sell. Can it hit $80? Can it gap up to there? Potentially, yes. There's no set answer, right? It all depends on the sentiment, right? Because sometimes Gilead might have gone in for $80, but the next day the price can open at 70, at 60, right? Whatever the case scenario is, right? We might see some sort of, the market might be adjusting to it or something of that nature, right? No one really knows. But essentially, I think what might have happened is that they got the set price of $80 no matter what happens. Price goes up or down. But that's that. Microsoft, will it drop due to losing TikTok? We already talked on Microsoft beating earnings recently. NVIDIA, they're buying ARM. Yeah, so I think NVIDIA, I didn't really look at the chart yet. But if you take a look at NVIDIA, once again, also supported at that 100 on the 50-day moving average. We're also, this is also following also that tech sector, right? We're kind of seeing this double bottom form, you know, support right here at 467 area, 470, support here. If we do get a break above 521, we might see it retest the previous highs, or simply play some calls to the upside. If anyone's looking to scalp it or day trade it, I have my key levels here. You can trade it accordingly. Break below 467, 454, 446, 420, 404, 391. Just some areas there. Let me see if there's anything else on the daily, right? Once again, a lot of these stocks have been supported by that 20-day moving average for a very long time, since March actually. Just recently have we gotten a break below that. And if we do see it retest around 458, if it breaks below 467, I'm going to play it down to play puts on it down to 454. But that's as far as NVIDIA. But once again, there's a catalyst tomorrow. If we're looking to play it to the upside, I want to see a break above 521, play it to the upside and potentially scalp it or something. But once again, one thing that we've been seeing, the constant trend, if we take a look at the SPY, right, we got the market opens, right, the futures are green, market's green, and then we finally, and you see here, what do we see, right? Markets are green, market opens, dips, right? As soon as it opens, we kind of see these strong sell-off throughout the day, right? Same thing that happens right here. When 9:30 market opens, we got a strong dip, saw some little recovery here, then the dip and the sell-off sort of continued. A lot of people seem to buy the dip here. Market is pushing up pretty nicely after hours, right? But once again, we want to see how it opens at 9:30. Tesla, we already talked on, battery day coming 9:22. That is a potential area where the stock might see some more highs, or maybe goes higher into the event. Microsoft, we already touched on. Peloton, we touched on. In spite it beating, okay, we touched on that. Disney is showing a recovery based on digital penetration and opening up of theme parks. Yeah, so that's obviously good news for Disney. As far as technical analysis goes, right, I mean, what are we seeing, right? Still still this area is a very strong level of support. The 130 is a very strong level of support, which is a previous level of resistance now acting as support. Also, it's holding pretty nicely on the 20-day chart. I'm sorry, on the daily chart, we're seeing the 20-day moving average hold pretty nicely there. Once again, the price action is sideways right now, right? I mean, we're simply, it's just going, it's staying between 130 and, where is that? 130 and 137, right? That's where we kind of see the stock continue to bounce. It's very sideways, right? Anytime this happens, the stock is setting up for a greater move, either to the upside or to the downside. I want to see a break above 137 if we can play it to the upside. If it breaks below 130, maybe play puts to the downside to maybe 120, 128 area for something like Disney. Will Oracle climb in pre-market trading and get sold off after market opens like Peloton did last week? Mark, that's definitely something that can happen, right? If you want a little bit more information on that, there's something called gap plays, right? Gap up stocks. Or you can maybe, there's a lot of information on it on YouTube and Google. The reason why I say that is because there's a lot of different things that can happen when stock gap up, right? Like I said earlier, right? We can kind of see a continuation. We can see a pullback. We can see the sideways trend. No one really knows, right? So just be prepared. No one really knows exactly what's going to happen. BYND, yeah, sure. Let's take a look at BYND. BYND broke below support around 135, got a retest, got rejected again. Room to break below 130, I'd like to play it again to the puts, maybe even down to 121, right? Once again, 120, 121, strong level of support for BYND. Saw some strong sellers take over, right? Still support at the 20-day moving average, so still looking pretty bullish right now. If we get a break below 20-day moving average, once again, it doesn't really have a clear direction, but if any case scenario you are looking to day trade this or scalp it, that's the only thing I can see with this. I don't really know exactly the financials of it, so I can't really say much on it long term, but that's as far as BYND goes, honestly. Doesn't really have a clear direction. Someone said Amazon, we touched on. Top 15 undervalued stocks. Yeah, so if you guys take a look at the chat, Mushi wrote in here, it says top 15 undervalued tech stocks you can buy today for long term. Simply buy them and hold them and look to make some money off of them. Apple we touched on, but yeah, Apple we touched on already, but if you guys just take a look, nice little trend line it's following. Also level of support, break below that, look to play to the downside. If not, we might see a continuation to the upside. I like the presentation way. It's awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. FedEx will report earnings on the 15th. How do you trade FedEx? Also UPS. Let's take a look at FedEx. I think it's FDX. No. It's the ticker. You can just write the ticker, guys. I'd appreciate that.
FDX.
FDX? Oh, it is FDX. I wrote that. It didn't come up. Anyways, it's in overvalued territory, right? We're getting it overvalued on the RSI. We might see, I mean, despite that, I mean, this stock is continuing to gap up and seeing some nice push to the upside. I think this whole COVID thing has pushed FedEx and a lot of these delivery services very nicely to the upside, right? Despite that, we still have it to test the potential highs of 274. I mean, this trend looks extremely bullish, right? I mean, in the past few weeks, we haven't seen a red week for FedEx. If you take a look, it's been green, 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 back to back to back. And the trend looks like it's pretty strong right now, right? And last time it came around this 80.76 level on the RSI is when it respected the RSI and took into consider the overvaluation, and then it pulled back, as you guys can see here. But I mean, this trend is just aggressive, right? We're seeing strong volume. This is just very clean breaks to the upside. We got a clean break of resistance around 200. Trend is continuing. It's currently sitting at 232 on the weekly chart. Let me switch over a little bit more to the daily. We did get a break above the previous high, which was 231. Stock just made a new high of 233. The trend is continuing. I'm assuming they had some sort of good earnings. They either beat them or had some sort of, oh no, they have earnings. Once again, guys, this is why I say, please, well, you guys did say earnings. Thank you. Earnings report on the 15th, right? Once again, when stocks tend to go higher, stocks do tend to go higher into earnings, and I think that's a trend we're seeing with FedEx, right?
Yeah. And sorry to interrupt, but Chandan is going to be taking up a few tickers, which is especially into earnings season. So maybe
okay. All right. So I'll let him touch.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll let him touch on earnings. Let me just see if there's any other ticker in there. Might have missed it, but it's Amazon a buy. One extended market trading opens in the morning. Amazon, once again, is one of those stocks I think you need to average your price on. You're never going to have a perfect exit. You're never going to have a perfect entry. There's no such thing as timing the market. The best thing is time in the market, right? You want to spend enough time in the market. I'm staying away from NKLA, too much drama for nothing. Snow has not made a debut. Okay, Peloton earnings we talked on. AMAT has been going down. But just keep in mind, FedEx, they're expected to move $21 either to the upside or to the downside after earnings. If they do not make that move, we might see it potentially affect your premiums, right? Applied Materials, support around 54.49, break below that, might see some downside. The moving averages are beginning to cross, which does not look good for the stock. So if it breaks below 54 and the moving average continue to cross, we might see some downside for the stock. Other than that, it is a strong level of support. So if it can hold this and reverse, that might be a good sign. But as of right now, we're seeing some strong sell-off with strong volume as far as that goes. NVIDIA we talked on. So we did get started at 9:30. It is currently 10:20. I do want to give the last 10 minutes to Chandan. So thank you guys all for joining. I hope I was able to provide great value to you guys. I'm going to switch it over to Chandan. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Sure. Thanks, Dilawar. That was great analysis. Helpful as always. Chandan, over to you. You can share your screen.
Yeah, sure. Let me share my screen. You're able to see my screen, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay, great. So we're coming into the earnings season. We don't have much companies earnings for next week, but we do have couple of good important plays and good companies. The first one to start with is on Monday we have Lennar Homes. They are fundamentally a strong company and they keep on beating earnings last few times. So this is a good play for Monday. So something like Short Strangle is a great play for Ivy Crush. And if you see the charts are well respected on Lennar. So they've been, because of low interest rates, the housing market has been keep going high and they keep beating earnings because there was a huge demand for housing in last 2 to 3 years. So they keep beating again and again. So it's the stock, it's well respecting the trend lines, and the stock has been consistently moving high. So the market is expecting a $5 move, and it has decent volumes. So there's a lot of bullish talk in the market regarding Lennar Homes. So the last two earnings they bet very well. So let me show you here. So the actual expected was 129. They all had 165. Even in the other time also they bet like the expectation was 9 cents and they had around like $1.27. In general, this is a good stock to invest in. They also pay dividends. So this is one of the good ones for Monday. The biggest earnings next we have is on Tuesday after close. FedEx, there's a lot of bullishness. As Delaware already covered, it broke up several times and it gapped up and it broke out of different channels multiple times. The sympathy play for FedEx is UPS. So when the FedEx goes high, the UPS will also automatically go high. So that being said, what it means is when you see that on Wednesday morning, you will see UPS also gap up. So the better way to play FedEx is not to buy calls for this week because the market is expecting a $22 move. So if you buy calls and the price doesn't move $22 for this week, you will be losing your premiums. The better way to play FedEx is you want to buy long dated calls and enjoy the ride if it goes higher. That is just a recommendation, but doesn't mean that you have to buy that. But UPS has a low IV because they don't have earnings. UPS will have a sympathy play for FedEx. As you see here, it already gapped up and broke off this channel and it went up high. Again, it pushed up with strong volume, so it's consolidating for a while. So the moment the FedEx earnings are good, it will go up. If the FedEx earnings are bad, it will go down. So that is the another one for Tuesday. The other last one is Adobe. Adobe has pretty strong fundamentals. It's fundamentally a strong company. They have low IV and they're very consistent in the market. The price fluctuations are not too bad. The market is expecting around a $40 move on Adobe, and Adobe is looking positive going towards the earning. It recently is supporting the 50-day moving average, and it has been consistently beating earnings. In general, this is a very healthy stock. If you see the price movements, it's always above the 13-day moving average, which tells it's a really good stock. So there is I'm hoping it will beat earnings, and it will not go crazily up and down, but it will consistently go up. So if you see the previous earnings, it's consistently going up slowly a few days after the earning, one after the other. So it's a good stock to look for, and the earnings are on Tuesday evening. So it's around 471. Its 52-week high is 540. So if the earnings are good, it may try to reach around 510, 515. If the earnings are down and if the QQQ is down, it may take a hit, but it has a low beta value. What it means is the prices doesn't move a lot. It doesn't take big hits either direction. It takes some time to take the hit. That is a good part of Adobe. Other ones are not very important earnings. We are almost getting close on the earnings. So unless until the next quarter starts, we don't see the big ones. But these three are the good earning plays for this week. That's all I had.
Thanks for watching. Visit our website, UrbanHood.org, and join our community at meetup.com and look for financial freedom for you. Thank you, and we hope to see you soon.